one on towards Jerk. And then in the top lane, can Fly find anything? Can they get anything at all? No! Doraemon just hits them with the bombo and walks away. Nice and easily. Zone into a 5-man. This would be the perfect cataclysm. But Hexflash gets it started. There's the cast to lock them down. And Nox is running as fast as he can. He'll flash. And even he'll say, look, I'll be a kind god today. You can have that one for free. But the fight continues. And Tomasino up in the air, locked in the Acro Prism, falls on down. Doesn't matter how tanky you are. Show you.
Maybe I had enough, don't tell me why. All the girls in the club, no trashing, just dancing. We just living it up, we go all night. I can sense the tension of the room and cut it. Running miles inside my head, I give you a two-step, and now we running. Call me when you get a high. Don't wanna be alone tonight. Call me when you get a high. I'll give you one, two steps, and we running. Turning up all the lights for you and I. It's warm and it feels alive when you smile. It's a sign. All we have is this tonight, and I don't want anybody else. Hold me and touch my body, yeah. And now we running.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes the Varus. Full stand on the stopwatch, it's carnage! They're all charged at his command! Oh, the boom! It's do or die!
What a beautiful way to start off our split one here at LCO in 2024. Ion up against Fury. It was only game one, but it was a fantastic showing from Ion Global Esports. There were a lot of question marks around the fact that even the veteran players on the team Maximize haven't been around for that long. And then on top of that, you got three brand new players. And let me tell you, they did not seem to be nervous at all. Whatever Hexflash was talking about in maybe there's some nerves from Nebula, I didn't see them.
Of nervousness at any point from this team. They had a very good game plan going in, right? They knew they had mid priority, they knew they had bot priority, and the second that they made a single play bot lane, burnt Sums got kills, the game was over from that point, right? They kept attacking, and yes, Nox was getting stuff on the other side of the map, but it doesn't matter. This Lucian Nami was getting so far ahead, and Ion did a fantastic job of moving them, moving the LeBlanc around the map, and never letting up the pressure.
Yeah, the LeBlanc movement, that caught me off guard a little bit to see a mid laner rotating down bot that early on, and for it to be successful as well, you know? Maybe we've seen it a couple times in the LCO before of that early mid lane aggression, but it normally falls up quite short. But this one, it felt so cleanly executed for all of those rotations and how early it was as well.
Yeah, basically, you're looking at the fact of Lucian Nami wanting to snowball as early as they can. Hey presto, you've got a Jarvan that wants to be an early ganker as well, so put two and two together, and they suddenly found so much success to really make sure that the Aphelios would have no mid or late game to try and look forward to once the LeBlanc gets so far ahead as well. It's like, well, the Malzahar is fairly useless. Isn't going to really be able to find too much. You can QSS out of all that CC. It was very limited CC had that as well. So, I mean, across the board now, it just felt like a very clean, methodical game where they not only got Draft Kingdom, but they also had the ability to say, instead we want to close this one out. We're not going to rush this. We're not going to give any invitations for Fury back into this one. We have a game plan and we're going to stick to it.
Yeah, it was so great to see it. I feel like once you have that early aggression, it's very easy to let that become your identity for the game, feeling that you always need to keep the foot on the gas and just keep going. And they still did that. Don't get me wrong. Ion still had that aggression. You mentioned a couple times, Max, in your cast there, how great their warding really was. But I want to know, did they really have to play it so slowly and so calculated once they got that first Baron? Because I sit here and I wonder, could there be more objectives taken with that first Baron? Did they have to wait until Elder? Did they have to wait until the second Baron?
Look, I think they played really clean, to be honest. I think that the way they played was how I would want them to play if I was their coach at this point. I think the only things that slowed down their Baron push was some deaths. I think Jovi had a bad death with a Baron Elder timing, right, where they would have had both of those buffs available and they probably could have ended the game off a fight there. But even then, to be able to have this team, and with a team comp like this where you can't really slip up because you do get outscaled, they played fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it reflected in the stats that we saw there as well. Were there any stats that really stood out for you, Skimmy? I mean, the only thing that stood out for me was that it was just very heavy-handed on the Ion side.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I think it's just a case of, the fact that you've allowed all these energized champions to go across. You've elected to go for red side because you've clearly got some ideas as to what you want to ban away, what you want to allow them to have. Then you're going to counterpick. But then the counterpick's not worked out. And then suddenly, I think during the game, you're realizing, guys, this is one of those cases of us just resetting, going to game 2, clean slate, and let's try and even up 1-1.
Yeah, I know you're going to want more of a sample size, Max, before you really truly answer this, but are you swaying towards the red side going to be the hot commodity coming into the rest of the split? Or are you like, maybe this is more just Fury, this is what they've prepared for, this is probably the side that they've practiced a lot more on?
To me, I was surprised by Fury's approach, right? You go red side, and I was expecting a Thomasina or a Chirp counterpick, to be completely honest, right? I thought they were going to take something in their solo lanes, and then you pick a Viego on 5, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, did we really need to save counterpick for that when we could have had a winning lane? And I think that's something that they're going to go back to the drafting board and really think about, right? Because the main issue to me this game was your lack of priority mid lane. You couldn't even walk out from under your tower, and then your bot lane is getting dove under their tier 2 at 6 minutes into the game, right? So you need something to be able to release that pressure valve, and K'Sante into Gragas just isn't that.
Yeah, it was a little bit rough. That idea that we had, we weren't sure what the identity of Fury was going to be, who really was going to be their main carry. And, you know, they obviously put a lot of eggs in the K'Sante basket, didn't really pay off too well for them, but that's just sort of a result of how that game played out for them. Moving forward, anything else for game 2 that you think is going to be changed up? Because they're both playing on the same sides. That's what we saw. It was, what was it? Ion picked blue side for themselves, and then Fury wanted red side.
Yep.
So they're going to be on the exact same side. So anything that you see, Skimmy, that's going to be the major change that maybe Max hasn't already mentioned?
I would expect probably from Fury they'll do one of those like salty runbacks where they look to try and ban everything that was super strong in that last game. So like Lucian and LeBlanc is probably just denied. I wouldn't be surprised if they tweak too much. Obviously the Malzahar, if those champions are removed, Malzahar's definitely gone. Maybe they'll stick to the Aphelios. Obviously Aphelios is a very strong champion, but I'd like to see if they can figure out like a stronger mid-jungle top. That's always been my big question mark looking at this roster coming into this one, as to you've got the experience, you've got the talent, 3 carry players, but which one has to budge? And in this case, it was Thomasino.
Are you comfortable with letting through a lot of those Fury bans, Max, if you're sitting on the side of Fury? If you're their coach, you know, I'm going to just keep throwing you in the coach's shoes.
Sure, go for it. Look, I'm not letting them get Lucian LeBlanc again. They obviously came in with a plan to let them have that, but it just didn't work out, right? And it'd be absolute insanity to just think, okay, we're going to do this again when that Malzahar pick, frankly, just looked useless. So to me, you either trade them or you ban them. I think trading is more likely, right? You saw they went for the Lucian priority. So if you're happy with Chirp playing LeBlanc, absolutely go for that. And then try to get something proactive around that mid-jungle, right? Pair the Viego that you had last game with the LeBlanc and try to skirmish 2v2. Then suddenly the bot lane doesn't look so dominant.
Do you think these teams are going to run back with the ADC priority, both of them, or do you think that that is something that maybe should be looked at to be changed up here, or is that more like a just stick to it for this week and maybe look at it for future weeks?
I think it depends on the champion pool of the 80 carries, to be honest, right? Like, I think the 80 carry pool that you can play at the moment is kind of deep. If you want to go into something like a Jhin, Varus, obviously Ashe and Kalista were banned there, Ashe more support, but I think there are quite a few picks. So to me, Lucian is probably what I'm looking at still as the first pick, just because it is so OP, it pairs so well with so many supports, but either way.
Surely, Max, this is when you're hooping, you're telling Top, you say, mate, you're playing Nautilus, I'm going Samira, we're winning this lane.
Yeah.
All you need to do is chuck out a hook. Please, bro.
Yes, into Lucian Army.
Yes.
And they're just 0 and 10 by 5 minutes. Do it.
Just keep throwing them out. Just make sure every hook, as it's on cooldown, just throw it out there. I'm sure one of them will land and you can snowball off of that way. But at the start of the broadcast, we asked you guys watching it from home, what are your goals for the ranked season 14? And so we've had a few more answers, a few more submissions. So let's take a look at them. We're going here. Do I maybe get gold for the first time in a few seasons? Question mark. Either that or learn to stick with one champ for a while. You reckon that they're both the same though, don't you, Max? You reckon maybe sticking with one champ could be the way that you get gold?
Oh, absolutely. Like my story for anyone out there, I was silver for like 3 seasons in a row, and then I one-tricked the champion, and then I got high elo. And I think that's really what it is, right? Because you can't learn to improve if you're changing up so many variables at one time. Just stick with the same champion, you'll get gold in no time. I
think that's like a really valid point, right? Because if people look at how many champions are in a game, you're like, oh, there's like 130 champions. How are you meant to know all of those? Like all the matchups, all the pairings, all the spikes. Like if you're just a really good Kha'Zix, just spam Kha'Zix to gold, plat, whatever it may be. And then you're like, oh, now I understand how like I beat Viego, so now I can play Viego. And like it just kind of like multiplies from that point onwards.
I also think there's like, if it becomes muscle memory for you, then your active conscious or you're actively thinking about gets to become deeper. You get to look at the map a lot more. But we got another one, another goal here. Win one game of League of Legends. Just one game is all he's asking for. 0-6 so far.
JB, what's happened to your placements, mate? 0-6.
You know what? Has anyone ever heard of someone having a good start to a season? Like, I know it statistically can't be that every single person loses every game of their promos, but it feels like it is.
Do you know what I saw?
I'm trying to think.
No, you go ahead, mate. You go ahead.
Okay, well, I was gonna say I'm trying to think of my last ranked. I think I went straight down the middle. I actually think I went 5-5. So I didn't have an abysmal start.
It's not bad.
It's not the worst.
Yeah,
it's not the worst.
Definitely not good, but it wasn't abysmal.
I've seen people that have like a 70% win rate and still getting negative LP gains.
Huh?
So you explain that to me, like they're winning 19 LP, losing 21, but they're 70% win rate. So like, I don't understand anything. The start of a season is good, but it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get one win out there, just one League of Legends win. Guys, don't forget though, while you are in chat, while you're listening to everyone else's goals, you can tell us what your goals are, but you can also put in your predictions for who you think is going to be game 2. Is it going to be a 2-0? By the way, Max, very lucky that you didn't go 2-0 for Fury, but do you think now maybe you're regretting not going 2-0 for Ion?
Honestly, I might be. I think draft was a big thing, but I honestly might be. Ion blew away my expectations of them.
Yeah, look, it's not over for them just yet. We are going to be seeing these two teams facing up against each other in our second game in this best of 2. So don't go too far, because on the other side of this break, we have Ion up against Fury.
High stepping with passion when we get action. And if you good with the vibe, it's natural attraction. And we out. I ain't tripping off none of them asking. If I come through gripping, I tell them I'm splashing. But look, peep game, this ain't nothing new. Cause it's amazing what a little breeze in the sun will do. I know they watching when I'm coming through. Tell me, do you run the opportunities or do they run to you? I see something and want it and I've got it. Feel the beat bumping and pumping like hydraulics. So if your energy ain't right, then save me the trouble, alright?
Can't bring my vibe down. Can't bring my vibe down tonight. Baby, I got your number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, left, right.
It's 5:15, so I hop up in the ride. You know me, G-double-O-D is the vibe. Part the side, you're in awe how it seems to apply. Shine bright like a star that you've seen in the sky. Brush past, saying bye to the haters. Rise above the freight every day like elevators. Try and underestimate us, don't debate, cause it's fate, we the greatest. Star-studded like entertainers. Take a chance, just go, no stopping. And dance like it's no one watching. But if your energy ain't right, then save me the trouble, alright?
Can't bring my vibe down.
He's after becomes the Varus. Forced out of the stopwatch. It's carnage. They're all charged at his command. Oh, kaboom! It's do or die. Game 1 went the way of Ion, and the question I suppose both of us are asking is, do Fury have the metal, the ability, the skill, the draft, everything, Max, to bring it back to tie the series up?
I don't know, Skimmy. To be plain and simple, it just was a blowout in game 1, and from the minute the game loaded onto the Rift, it was just all Ion. It was the bot lane dive, it was bot lane pushing, getting turrets, and then from then on, there really was no opportunity to come back. So, to me, can Fury regroup is the question. Can they come in and set that out of their minds, disregard the loss, disregard how badly they got beaten, and come back in fresh for game 2?
The question we asked before with Nat on the analyst desk was, okay, what are we looking to try and get adjusted in the draft? You were saying you probably expect a trade to go between the Lucian and the LeBlanc as opposed to just a flat-out ban. Do you stick to that still?
I would stick to that still. I think you either take away both or you trade, right? And I think taking away both is just impractical with the bans that they currently have on the red side. We're going to see what approach they go with now, but to answer your question further, Skimmy, to me, I want to see a solo lane counter pick. I think that's really the strength of this roster. Thomasino mentioned it in the pre-game interview that him and Chirp have been together and they were the shining lights for Vertex. Let them have their power as the LeBlanc ban is coming through for Fury. Yeah,
we're going to expect that LeBlanc ban to stick around for a fair bit as well. Belveth simply targeted towards Nox, a very proficient champ in his repertoire. The Jax, newly reworked, is going to be amongst those getting denied as well. Same could be said for the Ashe, which certainly has found its moments in that supporting role, and Hexflash also mentioning it as well. Surely the Rumble is just going to be a blanket ban all off today too. Question becomes who decides to ban it, and you'd imagine Fury would do it right here.
Yeah, it's interesting how Iron are targeting Nox here. Obviously, his pick did fall to the 5th pick last lobby. I wonder if they will allow the same. And you're right, Skimmy, that is going to come out, but that leaves the Lucian open, right? This is what Iron went towards in that first game with that first pick. And if it isn't broke, why fix it? I think they're just going to slam this pick.
So the question for me then becomes, does Hooper decide to run it back with the Aphelios? You'd imagine this Lucian is going to get locked in. It would seem daft to not do that. Do they go with the Aphelios again, or do they start to try and up the ante and say, how about we play a Kalista bot lane instead? There's a few considerations there. They are going to go for the Aphelios. Would they go for their support now, or deny a champion away from Foreigner and Nox a lot more agency now to be a lot more aggressive early on?
I love Xin Zhao. This champion right now is in such a strong position with the Titanic Hydra active coming back in. He's essentially an assassin who just has 3,000 HP with 2 items, right? This character is so strong in early skirmishes, and then once you pick up a Titanic Hydra, you're able to blow up almost any squishy. So this certainly gives them a lot more skirmishing power to play around this Aphelios in the early game.
Certainly what they need is certainly what they were lacking in that last game, with a sore need for some form of engage as opposed to just a meat sponge standing there as the Cassante. The Milio are going to get locked in now as the pairing, deciding to go for that instead of the Nami. Obviously the ultimate is going to be fantastic for cleansing if they suddenly find Fury with an abundance of CC at their disposal. And Foreigner going to lock it back in once again with the Jarvan. Why not?
That is interesting to me that they go for the Milio instead of the Nami here. I do wonder why they feel like Aphelios Milio is just too strong of a pairing to give over, but then again, you just stomped it in the last game, so why not? The question for me now is, do you counterpick support here? Do you let Toppy, who obviously doesn't have the most extensive champion pool, get onto something comfortable, and that's exactly what he's going to do, right? He is just playing the facilitate Hooper show. He's going to shield you, he's going to speed you up. Hooper, go carry. Yeah,
certainly seems to be a case of what are you most comfortable on as an autofill support player? Chuck him on an enchanter, give me a buff, and let me go to work. No case of a really annoying fresh Aphelios bot lane, a little bit more convoluted to try and pilot. Feuden going to open up with their second rotation of bans by denying away the Akali, really making sure that Jovi can't have that much of an aggressive matchup. I looked at some of his champions. He screams aggression, right? You're looking at like Aatrox, Renekton, all that mid as well. So certainly can give Chirp a really tough ask.
And the question for me here, Skimmy, is what Fury want to do with their solo lanes, right? We saw in their last lobby they were happy to just blind pick the Cassante, take that away, and just hope that Thomasino can do what he did. And he had a great game, I mentioned it last time, but he did very well despite the deficit. And in that case, you're able to actually get counterpick for mid lane here on Chirp. So if Jovi is this very volatile player who likes to play these explosive picks, give Chirp a counterpick, let him do his thing, and then maybe you can explode the game in your favor instead.
Well, certainly that's what we were lacking in the last game, right? You were saying that red side 5th pick counterpick really didn't find the amount of success you'd really be hoping for it to really garner. They've ultimately decided to go for the Gragas ban as well, making sure that Doraemon cannot 1v9 up there in the top lane, scale, be tanky, but also be flat AP at the same time too, and be able to take down all those fleeing members. Question then does become, okay, for Fury, what are we thinking? What are we going to lock in here? And the Azir is actually being hovered, and it's locked in.
Yeah, interesting Azir pick here, blind here from Jovi. So what is the response going to be? Obviously the Akali being taken away is a really nice answer into it. Some other picks that we've seen are something like a Xerath if he plays it, which is a bit out of left field. Obviously Sylas is always a champion, and with that Xin Zhao ultimate that you're going to have available, plus Azir, plus Lulu, it is quite a good Sylas game. Just depends on what he wants to do in terms of range, which is something that Ion are already lacking a little bit. Yeah,
Ion certainly do need some range. If you talk about the champions like Yone, Akali, Lucian and so on, it's not going to be the ones that spring to mind anymore. He needs to get some way to deal damage from afar. May then be considering the Syndra, which we know Chirp is certainly very proficient with. But the Kasante's locked in. So very stacked on the amount of AD. They need a pure AP burst, and the Orianna's going to do just that.
Yeah, very nice. So, I mean, rounding out the Jarvan Orianna combo, very, very hard to deal with for an Aphelios, right? The flash timer is going to be really important to keep track of from the side of Ion. Basically, anytime that's down, it is a free kill as Tomasino. They've saved 5 pick for him. He is a notorious carry player. I would love to see this locked in.
I certainly would. I mean, all his best champions from last split in Jax, Yone, and Gwen have been denied. So he said, all right, guys, it's Camille time. You split push the LeBlanc. Watch me do the same now on the Camille.
Interesting. So laning phase wise, it's obviously a little bit Kasante favored, but Camille can do just fine. She can scale. What's interesting to me is this is 14.1 Skimmy. This is no Divine Sunderer enabled here for Camille. So it's going to be a more traditional Trinity Force, perhaps Ravenous Hydra or Titanic Hydra, depending on what he wants to go. But without a Divine Sunderer, you definitely don't have the same spike where it just becomes overwhelmingly in your favor like it was on the previous split.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a lot harder to try and reach those same power spikes. Obviously, Sundered Sky, a really, really strong item you've mentioned as well in the past, as a massive pickup for these bruisers to lock in. But I mean, ultimately, we're looking at this draft and saying it feels incredibly AD-centric. That says to me, we are expecting a lot more early fighting as opposed to sort of like, you'll go for this, I'll go for a gank. Let's just keep, dodging each other as much as we can until these AP champions, because there's only one AP champion either side, right? So they've got maybe an item, 2 items to say, okay, guys, I can do the delivery package Shockwave, or hey, I can suddenly find that massive engage, which is what Fury need to get themselves back into the series.
And I really like this from Fury, right? Because I think they acknowledge their shortcomings of the last game, which is your bot lane can't fight at all. This time you deny the Lucian army going over. You have a Lucian Milia, which is still obviously oppressive, but you picked up a Xin Zhao, which is a lot better of an early game fighter.
Yep.
You also have that Azir in mid lane, who's able to contest Prio a little bit. Does lose in Prio towards Ori at some stages, but is going to be able to at least do a bit more on the map, perhaps protect some dives as well with his teleport. So if Hooper can stay stable, you can protect this AD carry, this Velos can scale. And then meanwhile, we forget about top lane, but you're going to have a scaled Camille coming into this game, right? That is something that's very scary, especially in the hands of someone like Tomasino.
Yeah.
So if they're able to keep their early game nice and stable, take skirmishes where they need to, things are looking good in the late game.
I suppose the question then is, how do we look to try and reach that late game? Because obviously last game was all about Ion finding success because they had shove, they had push, they had the ability to rotate and roam, they had vision control, which was very clearly demonstrated before that final fight around the Elder Dragon. So is it as simple as saying we need to see both these junglers butt heads a lot earlier on? Because that seems to be like where I want to draw the spotlight on, because they were very much risk adverse, very much on different pages to how they want to approach things. Do you feel as if it's very much more the onus on Nox to try and open things up and say, you're playing Xin, this needs to get stuff done, it can't just farm?
Yeah, I think Nox really needs to readjust the way that he approached last game. He was very happy map splitting, which is fine in isolation, right? But then you're suddenly leaving a bot lane to play 2v3, and that's not a spot you want to be in when you're against the Lucian army. So hopefully this game he is matching the path with Foreigner. Even though he got invaded, and his bot lane can hopefully contest Prio a little bit better this game, with the Aphelios Lulu, probably still will lose it and could get invaded. But this game, he needs to make sure that even if he is sacrificing a camp or 2 in return, that he's making his way, he's protecting his bot lane on those dives, because Hooper can get ahead, But if you're 0-2 at 8 minutes, that's not going to happen.
It's going to be pretty hard. And also, I suppose, whilst we talk about Hooper, making sure he's got the ideal weapon setups. It felt like a few times, right, they were approaching a massive Baron, Dragon, whatever it may be, and you're thinking that's not the weapon setup you need for maximum damage. So I suppose that's one of those unsung little details that sort of separates the Aphelios players, right? Juggling those at the right times on the right waves to get yourself in the right spot. Slight delay as we get ourselves loaded in here for game number 2. One of the players has disconnected, hence we've cycled through the player games and carried on chatting our way through this one a little bit longer than we would do otherwise. But I suppose a vote of confidence, Max. Would you say that it feels like Fury have come into this one a little bit stronger than game 1?
I think so. I think they've kind of taken a step back from the plan that they had in game 1, which, you know, it's great. I really love teams coming in with things that they think will work, things that they've obviously practiced in scrims and have shown success. And then recognizing that once that actually changes and you're no longer finding that success, that you can pivot as well. So it speaks to Fury being able to have a couple tricks in the bag and not really being one-dimensional.
I suppose an unmentioned part of the Fury roster is the fact that 3 of those members are Vertex of last year, right? Obviously, Rosie's no longer their starting support, but he is now their coach, so he's already going to be familiar with the likes of Thomas Sitter and Chirp. He did spend, obviously, a lot of time with Hooper in the Academy Leagues too, so their relationship is already going to be fairly tight. So you'd imagine that there's going to be some pretty good communication as to understanding tendencies, understanding what's going to work in the moment, and sort of seeing, okay, look, I know you're really capable on this champion. Just have fun with it and sort of do something crazy in this game.
And Rosie Skimmy is one of those players who I've always thought would be great as a coach. Like, just that thing from interviews that you get, the vibe that he's a very calm, he's a very measured individual. And on a team like this, who, you know, Hooper can get loud, you know, Thomasina can get loud, all these young players who have so much energy, you need someone to calm them down. You need someone to hold the reins, and that seems like exactly what Rosie can do.
Yeah, looking to try and rein it in and make sure that everybody is on the same page, which seemingly is what we saw for Ion. I mean, it's very rare that we see a team full of rookies, 3 in this case, come into a game and just blow it out the park as methodically as they did, right? We've seen rookies come in the past, and there's been nerves, there's been, you know, steep learnings of you can't invade at this point because you will get punished, even without vision. So it's been like a welcome change, I suppose, is the best way to phrase it, where you've seen a team come in and just hit the ground running straight away.
Yeah, and to me, I do wonder whether it's because they are kind of against another young team as well, right? You don't have that same kind of headlights that you, or fear that you would playing against a team with a bit more pedigree. Obviously, there is a bit of experience, but nothing like the likes of playing against Swiper or King in your first game. So I think it's actually quite good for both teams that they get to play relatively similarly experienced teams in their debut.
Right out the gates, absolutely. And I think for Jovi as well, after what a performance, I mean, obviously LeBlanc, when it's at that state, is going to make anybody look good, but the way they were piloting that chap to really draw Fury's attention all over the show and almost put them in a sense of decision paralysis.
Yes.
I'm kind of excited to see how this Orianna fares, given that you look at their solo queue account, you see, yeah, you got these Yones, the Carlys, Lucians, Aatrox is all going in the mid lane. He wants to be in your face, but Orianna is certainly a very different champion to that.
Yeah, Orianna is almost a complete 180 from the really explosive playstyle of something like LeBlanc. You have much less agency on your own in terms of being able to split push and jump over walls and create flank opportunities. You are much more front-to-back champion, so it'll be interesting to see whether he can play that style. If he can master both of those and he's shown that he's proficient from day one, that creates a really big problem from teams who are approaching him in future, right? Because suddenly he's not just this assassin-minded player who we've seen many of in our league, right? We've seen many mid laners who are fantastic at playing these melee assassins, but the second they have to go into control mage, they don't look anywhere near as good. To me, if he's able to master that, if he's able to link up with his jungler more effectively and this Jarvan Orianna combo is able to be executed, it's a very fearsome combo.
What I think of a prime example that kind of springs to mind immediately would be like, what is it, Theoman? You know, always on the assassins, you know, you'd love to get him on an Akali or a Castan or something of the likes, even a Silas in there as well, but then suddenly you're telling him, look, you're playing Seraphine mid, the trust is on the rest of us to now deliver the goods, right? So it's going to be one of those cases of if you're watching as a coach right now, or even as a player, perhaps you're thinking, this guy can do all this in solo queue, he can do this at a pretty high standard in a competitive match. This gives us a bit of a head scratch as to how do we actually target the bans. Do they no longer have to be targeted bans, or are they just more generic ones, like the Rumble in this case?
Yeah, and to me, speaking of mid laners, I really like seeing Chirp here on this year. I think that he was one of my favorite players to watch last year as a rookie, just because he does have so much raw skill, and I think especially on these mages that he's comfortable on. I remember his Victor being absolutely 1v9, and Azir is in a similar vein where it's a very very nice scaling front-to-back champion who has the potential for flashy plays. And if he can pilot this well, it has so much more ability to impact the game than something like a Malzahar. So hopefully we can see him getting involved, taking these fights as we get into Game 2.
Well, that's the big question mark, as we hopefully aren't too far away from loading back into this one. That is the big question mark for me, right? You already touched on it during the pre-game as to Chirp's stats being the highest of a mid laner for DPM, but then dying a fair bit to try and facilitate that amount of pressure.
Yep.
Obviously, a Victor wants to be aggressive to a degree, but needs time to ramp up and find that, you know, free out and power spike, as with the Camille. But, you know, if Ion can find themselves in a strength position, be it 20 minutes in again, you're suddenly saying, well, you're down 5k gold, you've got to try and really scrounge as much of this gold as you can and say, guys, we've got 3 items, we just got to fight wherever it may be. You're really hoping it doesn't kind of find itself in that kind of same state again. But I guess one of the big changes would be the fact that it's no longer going to be a Viego-Malzahar matchup, which is kind of hard, I guess, for the Malzahar to win. We saw that one engage happen on the 1 item spike. It wasn't enough. The LeBlanc gets away, and I think that really was their one chance. They let it go, right? There's then going to be a lot more proficient at not only helping mid lane, but making sure that the Aphelios, in Hooper's case, doesn't go 0-2.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your earlier point about Chirping having a lot of deaths, it is very true, right? Because teams realized that Vertex's success really hinged on whether Chirp could take a lead, could get into that late game on even footing, and if he could, he looks really good. Now, not to mention that he has a Xin Zhao playing in the jungle this game, but he also has the mid lane changes that are going to favor him, right? It is literally harder to gank mid lane now. It takes longer in terms of the vision for a jungler to actually get on top of you. So if you're playing something like the Azir, who can always use that EQ to escape, perhaps he is going to be able to get towards that late game on even footing, and then we can really see what he does.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what both these teams can do for just a second. We're just waiting for these players to connect, but whilst we do, we're going to jump to a quick break, and we'll conclude game number 2 just after this.
You probably thinking that I'm playing though. I wanna prove you dead wrong. Yeah, yeah. Baby, you give me something special. The type of thing that you won't let go. Oh, and when I'm with you, girl, I'm with you all night. Know what I give you, girl, I give you what you like. Yeah, don't gotta ask, baby, you know it's on sight. You know it's it's on sight. You know it's on sight, yeah. I got a whole lot of questions for you. How do you want it and how long to? I wanna love you, girl, yes I do. Yes I do. Yes, your town, girl, it's all about us. Ain't going halfway, give you all of my love. Give you anything, girl, cause there's no rush. You know I got a thing for ya. I would do anything for ya. Girl, I'll always have a place for ya. You love it when I say your name for ya. They don't compare, they always changing up, changing up. Trying their best, but no, it's not enough, not enough. You forget them people when I call you up, I call you up. You just want someone that's strong enough, strong enough. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. You probably thinking that I'm playing though. I wanna prove you dead wrong. Yeah, yeah. Baby, you give me something special. The type of thing that you won't let go. Oh, and when I'm with you, girl, I'm with you all night. Know what I give you, girl, I give you what you like. Yeah, don't gotta ask, baby, you know it's on sight. You know it's on sight. You know it's on sight, yeah. I got a whole lot of questions for you. How do you want it and how long to? I wanna love you, girl, yes I do, yes I do.
Come over here and talk to me. No need to be shy, baby, why not with me? I'm telling you to put it down on me and wrap your hands all around my waist. But watching me all day, I wanna know what you're good for. Your eyes, them telling me you want more. Fill up this cup, baby, let it pour. And we can rock steady like we done did this before. And now my body calls you. Let me kiss, hold, and caress you. Now that I know about you. How you getting me weak? I'm weak over one touch in the morning. And all through the night, you give me one touch got me falling. And I'm feeling high from one touch. How you give me one touch. Boy, leave your friend, I'ma follow me. You down for the ride, baby, roll with me. You wanna see the other side of me. Yeah, we got plenty of time to waste. Let's find somewhere to play. I wanna know what you're good for. Your eyes, them telling me you want more. Fill up this cup, baby, let it pour. And we can rock steady like we done did this before. And now my body calls you. Let me kiss, hold, and caress you. Now that I know about you. How you getting me weak? I'm weak over one touch in the morning. And all through the night, you give me one touch got me falling. And I'm feeling high from one touch. How you giving me one touch? I'm not letting go. I'm feeling after one touch. You already know. Got me feeling after one touch got me weak. One touch, beg you please. One touch, all I need is one touch in the morning. And all through the night, you give me one touch got me falling. And I'm feeling high from one touch. How you giving me one touch?
If I tell you a secret, do you think you can keep it? Describe all of my dreams inside the seams like you just peeked in to my mind on a good day. Inside all the heartache, all of the lows, all of the woes, yeah, you and your worst way. I never ever take their advice. I'd rather be naughty, not nice. I'm like a sucker punch, I hit you with a lie. I'm kinda twisted, yeah, I'm messed up in my mind. You should be scared. You should be scared. I never ever take their advice. I'd rather be naughty, not nice. I'm like a sucker punch, I hit you with a lie.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes Tavares. Forced out of the stopwatch, it's carnage! They're all charged at his command! Oh, the boom! It's do or die! We're back. Thank you so much for bearing with us as we, well, let's be quite honest here for a second, Max. It wouldn't be an LCO broadcast. It wouldn't be an Oceanic broadcast without a pause, without a tech issue, I don't know, computer crashing, an internet connection not working correctly. That is what we had to deal with down under, isn't it?
That is the quintessential thing about our region.
Yes.
That and PCS disappointment.
That's true too. We like getting stomped abroad and saying, look guys, it's Worlds, but not really. We are coping. We are huffing and puffing, but hopefully not too far away from getting ourselves back into draft to continue what was some of it, really. We saw a few champions. We didn't see the whole roster as such, but it looked like Fury had made some good strides towards really patching up the weakness of Game 1.
And for those of you who just saw Doraemon on your screen there and you thought, damn, that guy looks a lot like Violet. Well, it's because he actually is his brother.
Wow.
For those of you who don't know, so they're a very talented family over there. Obviously, Vincent, Violet being one of the highest performing players we've had in the LCO since its inception. So, very talented family. I wonder if they have any more brothers who are going to be joining us in the LCO, but certainly a talented duo they are.
That certainly is the case. I think we need this series, or we need this actual season. Why do we need the series? It's not do or die. We need the season for him to try and find a new nickname. Like we got Violet becomes Ultraviolet when it goes absolutely crazy. What does Doraemon become? That's what we've got to find out soon. I'm sure something will naturally come to us when a pop-off occurs. But yes, a very talented family. Obviously making a very good debut.
Yeah, I mean, he really played well in that Gragas there. He didn't get much of the limelight, obviously, because it was being taken away by that Lucian and that LeBlanc. But here we go, looking at the lineups for Game 2. He is on the K'Sante here against Tomasino's Camille. Obviously gets outscaled a little bit, but certainly K'Sante able to hold his own for the majority of the laning phase and hopefully provide some impact in those early game fights.
Certainly what we're hoping for, right? We want that Xin to really be explosive and really showcase, okay, this is the reason why I found myself in this position. But ultimately, we're going to try and find out. I mean, we're coining it a power struggle. We have no idea what the team is functioning like between Chirp, Nox, and Tomasino. But when we see free carries, we think, well, you can't all carry at a pro level, unfortunately. Somebody has to budge and conform it to what the meta is. And I think Foreign is very much at ease with that understanding, right? Look, I'll play the Zen, I'll play the Jarvan, whatever it may be. Get me in the, in the action. I have enough trust and faith in the rest of my team, to put in the hard yards. So this is always going to be an exciting factor for us to watch as Fury go on throughout the weeks. But I guess we're putting a massive, massive scope on their bot lane in particular. Running it back with the Aphelios once again. Different matchup, despite it still being the Lucian. Can we make sure that the, the first 10 minutes are a lot more successful?
I mean, that's really all it is, right? Can you outplay that first dive? Can you have your jungler there to match if that is the case, and so he's not being forced off waves? Because that was the main thing as well, right? It wasn't just that he was dying. He was missing a lot of XP. He was missing a lot of CS, and that just compounded how far down he was in gold. But here we go, Skimmy. Have Fury learned from their mistakes? Can they equalize, or will they go down 2-0 in Game 2?
That is a big question here as we do load into the rift finally. Thank you so much for bearing with us. We love our pauses, but we also love talking about League itself. So the entertainment begins once again. It's Ion with the series currently 1-0 in their favor. Is it best of two? So it's a case of, can you get all 3 points with the win? Or will those points be shared at 1 apiece? That is what we're fighting for. Both teams still on the same sides. And a chance this time to see, will anything occur at level 1?
Doesn't look like it, Skimmy. Looks like their teams are very content just having stable level 1s here. I think both teams scale in their own right. I think that the side of Fury have a very nice 5v5 composition with that Orianna Jarvan plus the K'Sante coming in. Whereas I think if you're Ion, you're very happy playing a sort of 1-3-1 style. Sorry, Fury rather. The sides have messed me around a little bit in the graphic there, but if you are this Camille, you are very happy to be able to play in that side lane. Orianna is a very diveable target for you in those long extended lanes. So if you can get to that point, feeling quite good as Tomasino.
Yeah, absolutely, right? You want to make sure that you've got lanes to play towards and the ability to try and split push and be a menace like Jovi certainly was last game, but it does take time, and you mentioned already, right, without the Sundara being available, the sustain, the trading patterns aren't going to be as easy as they once were. Obviously, you still got the Trinity Force available for that Spell Blade proc, but it's not going to be as easy as it would have been. I mean, speaking as a top laner yourself, was this matchup into Cassante ever much of a concern anyway?
Look, I think it's one that you're quite happy playing into as Camille, honestly. I think there are some rough points in the lane. He does have a nicer early game, especially once he is getting some spikes coming through. But depending on what he builds now, right, you can't go the Iceborne Gauntlet. That's no longer really a thing that you go on Cassante. So a traditional tank build might not have that same pressure applied to the Camille.
Speaking of pressure, look at bot lane here. Already Hooper down to 50%. It almost feels mirrored from game one, where one trade goes awry, contesting a minion in that wave, and Nebula on a champion that has the mobility and has the burst damage complemented by an enchanter, doesn't miss those opportunities to pounce.
Yeah, but this is nice from Nox here, right? He's acknowledged that he has to skip the Krugs here. He has to be around this bot side, because it's really this cannon wave that you're worried about if you are the side of Fury, right? You do have that 3-wave crash potentially coming in, but he's going to be here to ward off any hope of that as Foreigner takes a path, but he will be spotted by Nox here. There's a red buff on the Xin Zhao.
Nox, I was wondering if for a second he revealed himself, but he has certainly now looking to try and dash across the safety of his own blue buff. Just a mere presence of Foreigner alone was too much for him to bear, so he's walked away back to the walls, even further back, wrapping around into mid lane. There's action to be found there as both these mid laners find themselves at 50%. It's going to be a mad rush to see which jungler gets something done first. Folder's already stolen away the blue buff. Nox is stuck understanding, well, do I go for something, do I not? And Sherp is down low.
Yeah, it was a bit cheeky there from Nox. I think he wanted to kind of wrap around and use the time that Ion were taking the blue buff to find a play mid, but unfortunately with the terrain changes, he does end up getting spotted here as Sherp's taking a trade. I'm not sure you want that.
Oh, one auto to get it done, Jovi! Would you believe it? What a first blow. What a way to really announce yourself in the LCO.
And he's going to get out too. Foreign is here to bodyguard him as he gets this wave in. Sherp just getting a bit too overconfident, and Jovi,
he's waiting as much as he can right now. Out goes the Protect to make sure that Foreigner has the shield, the mitigation amongst his own toolkit. But Nox wants to dive. Oh, what was that? The flash afterwards, and Nox, I don't think he can quite believe how he's managed that one. Tomasino in with the hook shot and says hello, and just like that, Fury have turned this game on its head.
I mean, what is happening, Skimmy? Where do we really start? At the same time that play's happening mid, there's a kill happening bot lane, and somehow Tomasino's here. But it all starts with Fury getting aggressive, Chirp biting off a little bit more than he can chew and going down in that 1-for-1 situation. But Fury managed to turn the wave, and now it's their time to crash a massive wave. As we take a look at this bot play again here, so it starts off with Nebula dashing in, looking very confident here. And that's it there. The perfect route there from Hooper to get him under the turret as second that Ignite comes out. And this matchup already going way better than it previously was.
Yeah, really nicely done there, right, with the Graviton, the flash away, the sort of over-exerted pressure, as well as the Summoner Heal from Toppy, just to try and give him that little bit extra sustain too. But I suppose, I mean, is it unfair to say it's greedy there for Jovi to die in that situation? Obviously, you can TP back very early days, but both junglers get amongst it, and Nox is probably thinking, yeah, how have I managed to get that kill into Jarvan?
Yeah, and already Jovi is saying that wasn't enough aggression. He really needs to show some more. Already this matchup is becoming very favoured in the side of Orianna. And Foreign has found Hooper. He has no flash.
Look how annoying this bush is, by the way, because you just get zoned away from your turret. You can't even walk back to the lane. So much easier now for the blue side to do stuff like that. And Nebula walks in, says good night to Xin. Foreign finds himself a kill as well. And they're saying, look, you thought that bot lane was going better. We're going to remind you how game one went.
It's the timing, Skimmy. They have 3 people there from the side of Fury, but they're just disjointed. They're not able to get there at the same time. That means Hooper's able to get engaged on, and there's no Toppy there to respond. And then suddenly 2 kills in what was a very winning early game for Fury.
It really isn't the ideal circumstance, but a fantastic read then from Ion to understand that, look, we can go to this bottom lane, catch them on that moment back, and deny them all these resources. Now down 10 CS, not to mention all the amount of XP too. But Nox is on the hunt, looking to try and go for it. There is the shuffle back, one turret attack. A shockwave that never truly went off. But then up to top lane as well, and Doraemon right now making sure that Tomasino is going to get dragged back, is going to get ulted, is forced to flash away.
Very nice there from Doraemon. He was a bit down in CS here, but forcing that flash out from Tomasino, who has no TP, going to be able to get control of this wave as he pushes in the next one. And this is the thing with the Camille versus K'Sante matchup, right? The second you do misstep, it is very dangerous because K'Sante has that 6, he can run you down. But going back to that previous play on mid lane, Jovi once again just getting a bit too overconfident, overextending versus Nazir without flash. Yes, you're winning the lane, but it doesn't matter if you're going to be giving up these free kills.
It's almost a fairly exciting matchup amid just for the purpose that, you know, Jovi is playing very much like Chirp did last season, right? Where they're both just going into every single bit of pressure at the cost of saying, well, I am going to die if I get ganked, but if I don't, then this is just a free winning matchup. Chirp's clearly understood this and said, hey, he's got similar tendencies to me. We have a champion that can be that much better at ganking. Nox, please just come mid. We're guaranteed to get in this time.
And already a lot more proactivity from the side of Nox, which is something that I really like to see out of him. You know, in solo queue, he is a jungler who is notoriously aggressive on carry picks. Obviously, Xin Zhao, not a traditional carry in that sense, but certainly with this new Bruiser build, can do a lot of damage early on. Playing with Chirp, playing against this flashless Orianna, and hoping to snowball even more around this mid lane.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you saw that the timing wasn't really ideal there for Fury to go for those Void Grubs, so all three picked up there by Ion. Jovi, the one there to assist him, but now in trouble as he returns back to mid lane. The Audacious Charge being ramped up and ready to go. The final knock-up, the Shockwave back into range. And well, Jovi says, don't gank me. What are you doing?
And the key thing there is there's no Emperor's Divide for the Azir, right? You saw Chirp shuffling in. Jovi's flash was about 5 seconds left at the point that he did that. If they did have the Azir ultimate, he would have been able to shuffle them back, but unfortunately not. And then Jovi, it feels like a real back and forth about this mid lane. As top lane trading once again, no ults on this side either. All around the map, Skimmy, everyone is trading.
It is pressure, but it's pressure that is starting to favor Ion once again. They find a bit of an inch in a game and suddenly just start to really run away with it. I mean, it's quite remarkable to see how comprehensive they are with their understanding that, hey, we've got this trade winning, so we can go for this objective, and there's nothing that our opposition can do. So they get the Void Grubs, they'll take the first dragon. Bear in mind that last game, Ion got all 4 in a row, and were able to pick up the soul point too.
And this is nice to see from Ion, right? They're stabilizing, they're realizing that their win condition, I guess at least for the early game, is to play around their bot lane and use that pressure to get these early objectives. Nox will be spotted out. Jovi!
Jovi's in a spot above her right now as he looks to try and just get a range of that turret. The Emperor's Divide was used to try and make sure that things would work in Fury's favor, but he's gone. He's running. Nox is here, but nothing's going to happen. Top lane, no. Everything's happening as Tomasino will die. Look how low Doraemon was. I have to say at least 10, 20 HP max. That was far too close. But the action continues bot lane. A flash away from the flag and drag the Cataclysm there, but not willing to be used as they'll just push in that wave.
Doraemon's still here. I wonder if he's able to get out. He doesn't have the TP available as bot lane's going again.
There is the two-man slam dunk down, but they haven't found the kill for a living. Just for the meantime, he's still alive, Max. 100 HP to his name, and Toppy without a carry, without a support, without really anything, is going to make it 2 easy kills for Nebula to pick up.
It's a disaster, Skimmy. It was looking like Fury had turned it around from last game, but then suddenly it's the exact same play that we saw last game as trading Jovi in the mid lane.
There's no chance to rest. There is no reprieve. We are just going for fight after flash to dash away from that distance, which certainly would have been enough there for Jovi to find his third of the game.
Here we go, Skimmy taking a look at the dive again here. Crucially, Jarvan is here again and it's unmatched. Gets both in the Cataclysm and the Lucian damage is more than enough to take him down. And the wave, Skimmy, it's already 2 plays down. He's already 20 CS down to lose this wave on top of a double kill going over to the Lucian. It's the exact same thing we wanted to avoid from game 1.
Yeah, it really is one of those deja vu moments in the bot lane. It feels really rough now here for Hooper to figure out, okay, how do we get ourselves back into this one? Because we're down so much CS, we've been denied XP. And then I'm going to find myself down an item and a half too. So it's not really that ideal. You can have a look at the overall breakdown of items, and you're sitting just above the enemy support. Certainly not a place any carrier wants to find himself.
Yeah, I mean, how do you play this lane, right? You're playing against Stormrazor, Courteous Shard with a Noon Quiver, right? It's not even comparable. You're not even in the same stratosphere of damage that this Lucian's able to dish out. We saw it there. His whole health bar basically going in a single trade. So if you're the side of Fury here, you really have to bunker down and try not to give up any more of those misnumbered dives. The best you can do really is hope for a 3v3. Even then, it's not looking very good as Nebula.
Oh! Any chance, anything to try and bait Nox into an engage opportunity, but I feel like this is the one where you say Nox goes in, but Hooper will die as part of the process. Surely the bot lane of Ion would just go out swinging if they are to get ganked by multiple members, but it's just nothing left for them to try and take on the map right now. It's desperation, it may be said. As Doraemon is going to try and keep Tomasino humble underneath his own turret. He goes to the flash! And one more auto do it. He's lost vision. He's not got the drag back. And Tomasino, even in the S key there, relegating himself to a sure death.
Very nice there from Doraemon. He's been really impressing me on this K'Sante, right? Didn't really get to show his mechanics on the Gragas as much. But here, just solo killing Tomasino in this matchup. And this is the breakpoint we talked about, right? That Iceborne Gauntlet coming through for the side of this K'Sante. He actually does a lot of damage when he goes to that ultimate form. And Tomasino being caught off guard, you can't have your carry being this far behind.
Well, look at that, Max. I mean, you talk about situations for Fury to get back into this one, but Iron have got all 6 of those Void Grub stacks to themselves. That means they have so much pressure now for shoving out these waves, which they've been doing all game long anyway. So it's a bit of a situation where you say, okay, already we're talking about how do Fury get back into this one. They're going to look to try and take out Jovi. Oh, no! Oh. The Empress Divider's missed, and that's so crucial for trying to start things up. Now Nox is overextended. He'll flash away, but it's easy work for Foreigner to say, there's the 2-man Cataclysm, there's the Shockwave, and there is the icing on the cake. Everybody dies.
I mean, it's just a pure masterclass mechanically here from Ion. There's Jovi dodging the Azir ultimate, and then Foreigner coming in, holding the ultimate until the flash is committed from Nox, and then it's a Jarvan Orianna combo, and he's not done, Skimmy. He's back towards his bot lane. On
vision, it does not matter. I do not think this will deter Foreigner whatsoever. What happened to Hooper? He just got deleted. Same can be said of his bot lane partner. And it is another double kill, and it is now Nebula halfway to 10 kills. He's got 5.
Someone turn this off. We can't be watching this. I mean, all across the board, it is just a slaughter from Ion. It feels like everywhere Foreigner goes, he finds a kill, he finds a pick. Even in this top lane, with his Trinity Force coming on, he's 2 levels down compared to Doraemon. I don't know where it went wrong, Skimmy, but it went very, very wrong.
It really has gone fairly pear-shaped, to put it lightly here. Item spikes, XP differences, map control, gold leads, objectives. I mean, really, you can name everything, and it is all leading the way towards Ion. I don't want to say cast a curse, but it is very much primed and ready to be a clean 2-0 right now for Ion, unless Jovi can try and dodge the impossible, which is a 3-way collapse. A simple flash is enough to bait them all in, and he'll take 1 to the grave with him.
That's big though, Skimmy. Yes, it is a 1-for-1, but luckily you're getting some gold back onto your Camille, right? That's really the person you need to get ahead as Nebula. He's getting CC'd here.
Locked in a polymorph right now, but Foreigner flashing across that Dragon Pit there to act as that protector. Says, Nebula, you will not be dying today. Yes, the Dragon will reset, it will lose its aggro, it will regen a little bit of HP, but do you really think they care when they hit tab and see they got an 0-4 Philios to go into?
Yeah, that's what it is, Skimmy. It's just a gold gap at this point. I mean, what can you really do as Hooper? You find the opportunity as Doraemon might have found Tomasino here.
Isolated across that wall. Oh. Massive wall. Where do you go as Tomasino right now? You've got no flash. The Hextech Ultimatum is actually working against you. And every lane you look at, it is doomed.
Yeah, honestly, Tomasino had this counter pick, right? He had the choice of playing this Camille here, and it has just not gone his way at all. Doraemon has been cancelling almost every single hook shot that Tomasino has been able to use, and then suddenly, you just don't have a point to play to if you are Nox, right? You definitely can't go towards this bot lane. He's 2 levels down, 2 items down, and your top lane's getting solo killed 3 times as Nebula just hasn't taken his foot off the gas, flashing forward.
Flashing forward. Oh, no way! He's going to feel so hard done by that. Chirp survives on 40 HP. He put in all the hard work. He committed literally everything he had, but denied the prize.
Meanwhile, Hooper's dead again. Yep. He really has not had a fun 2 games, has he?
He really has not. Look, this is not going to be one that Hooper's going to be too fond of looking back on, but look, we can put it down to first game jitters, first week back. We're going to try and find some kind of answer into this one, because right now, it is all things Iron, and the team with 3 new pro debuting players looking like they've been around forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a completely one-sided slaughter. They've got more kills than there are minutes in this game. And the question is, what can you do as Fury, right? There is very little at this stage when you lose every single lane, every single matchup. As we take a look at this solo kill again, I mean, there's not really that much to it. Hooper commits the flash as well, but he's already taken the shockwave in his full combo. Jovi, I mean, we question whether he would look as good on this Orianna as he did on his previous champions. And the answer so far is yes, Skimmy.
What it becomes an insanely scary prospect, right? If he can play all the melee aggressive champions, but then can bust out a control mage and make it look this clean as well, you're really having to scratch your head and say, okay, what lane, what player, and what style do we want to try and target when we take on Iron right now? Because they are having absolute pick of the litter. They can do nothing wrong. Everything belongs to them. I mean, it'd be interesting if we were to tab in with the vision again, because right now Fury have it all towards this bottom half of the map, trying to protect that dragon. That's not there for another 3 minutes, but the rest of the map is dark, and all these lanes are pushing against them.
And how do you engage Skimmy? It's a very similar question, right? Xin Zhao, I mean, yes, he can E in, but that's very short range unless you're landing a Wind Becomes Lightning, and Nebula is really not going to give you the chance if that's the case, so you're just forced to deal with the same situation where this Lucian's able to push down mid. You've got pushing solo lanes. They need to bring this Camille over, try to find a pick, or else they're just going to slowly lose the game. Very similar to how they did in game 1.
Well, pick feels like the key word, but it's obviously going to be very hard unless they have the ability to actually see where their opponents are going towards, right? Because I see 3 champions that want to flank in the Azir, Xin, as well as Camille. Obviously, a front to back isn't going to be too ideal given the current massive deficit, but it's going to be so hard for them to find those angles because everything is warded like this.
Thomasino thinks he's being sneaky. I don't even think if they bring the Zinzao up that they kill him, to be honest. I think Doraemon's that tanky and there's that much of a lead. And now the question is, what do you do if you're Ion here? You've got those 2 dragons. You can play for that, you know, slow stacking up, getting the 4 Drakes, getting the Baron. Or there's a lucky recall coming out there from Chirp. But really, it's just vision denial at this stage. It's progressing those wards further and further into the enemy jungle, denying more CS. I mean, look at the AD carry CS difference here, Skimmy. 119 to 161. 2 full items completed for this Lucian compared to the Kraken Slayer just coming online for Hooper.
It really is a fairly brutal affair. We saw very early on into the game that Hooper was just above the enemy support. There was that much of a difference even when it was 1.5 items, but now at this current point, you can understand why this Lucian is doing so much damage. As for Fury, they're going to try as they might to find a way back into this game, and that starts by looking at top lane. Maybe not the best target into a Cassante, but they have a fair bit of damage, mixed damage between them. So in goes the Emperor's Divide. That's a beautiful ult there from Doraemon to try and dodge away. Flash forward, pounce on his head, and take him down. Drag back Chirp underneath the turret. Leech as much as you can, but realize that you're itemized to take on AD, and that Chirp will eventually take you down.
I just love the confidence there. It's a 2v1. He goes, you know, I'm probably going to die in a 1-for-1, but I'm going to do it anyway. I need to add to that solo kill stat. And Doraemon is looking like an absolute menace for his debut series in the LCO.
I'm really excited to see what else he has in his repertoire. I mean, if this is him on tanks, wait until we start to see him on carries, and then wait if, you know, it becomes himself up against Bliss and into Violet. That's when it gets really spicy. But let's look at top lane again. It all starts with the initial dash in.
Yeah, so he actually cancels the Xin Zhao E there with his 3rd Q, which is really nice. Prevents a little bit of the damage coming onto him at the start, but then he just decides he could run here, right? He could absolutely get away. He has that flash, but he says, no, I want to trade the 1-for-1. The only thing I could critique is here, him not going back into his ultimate form, into his base form, rather, to get those tanky resistances back. But even still, trading a 1-for-1 there is just incredible and speaks to the aggression on every single member of this team.
Fury now routed in a position of the only way back in is through this bot lane, but a massive TP from the back line. Doraemon wanting to be a bit of a pest right now, to try and lock up some key individuals. They look at Hooper, they laugh, they say you're 0-5, we don't even need to care about you, but we'll take you down anyway. There's the 2-man shockwave, it is a domain explosion as they look to find a 3rd. Here we go to Thomasino. Doraemon gets rewarded for that beautiful deep flank in mid. On awards, Vision has been their best friend, and the score sheet is soon to look 2-0.
I mean, look at how many Void Mites they have, Skimmy. I wonder if they're going to take the inhibitor here or going to leave it. Looks like they are going to opt to let it go. It feels like it's already the end of the game, but it's only 20 minutes in, right? Baron hasn't even spawned right up until now, so Ion just stomping them. I mean, how many times did you see a top laner TPing in the middle of a wave on full vision and still getting 3 kills?
It's a rare sight to say the least. I mean, let's run it back again here, Max. What are you looking at in particular here?
It's Doraemon. He's absolutely unkillable on the backline here, right? Hooper is so far behind that Doraemon can just fully charge his W, get these Qs off, and look at the knockback plus the shockwave combo. It is just too much damage. Nebula cancels an auto attack there, unfortunately, so he isn't able to get the kill onto Toppy. But I mean, Skimmy, this is 19 minutes. That's a tier 3 turret. Ion are just steamrolling through Fury.
To have this much control, pressure, and pedigree, really, to say that these are 2, you would say, looking at this one in isolation, this should be a fairly even affair going into your very first game on the LCO stage. Debuts for both sides, but to say that you're 10k up and both games have been complete stomps, feels criminal.
It does feel criminal. And I don't really know what you're going to do here as Fury. This is kind of what we talked about before, where you bring your Camille up in a Hail Mary, but there's so much vision, Skimmy. They're going to be spotted out on every single roam, so this Lucian feels very safe to continue pressuring like he is. And, you know, with Baron up, with Baron online, it's just one mistake, it's just one pick, and then suddenly the game's over.
Well, you hate to write a game off before it's already been done, but we said very early on that you're looking at these mid laners, both looking for that 3-item power spike, especially then for the Camille wanting to get 3 items online as well. Currently sitting on that Trinity Force and a Tiamat. Needs a fair bit more before they can truly ramp up, but just not given that time, not given that presence, not given really any of that space. It's a case of Ion have never really let their foot off the gas here. Baron has spawned because we're that far into this one. They've got a soul point to look forward to in 3.5 minutes, but they don't even need to go for these objectives, Max. They say, wherever we see you on the map, we'll go for you. We know that you can do absolutely nothing about it. That was a massive knockback from Hex Flash there. Well, I honestly think like Chirp might have been out.
Can we just credit that? That's going to be like the craziest Milio Q I think I've ever seen. He just kicked him right out of that shuffle. Chirp not committing the flash, and he's just going to go down. And I said there was one pick into a Baron and the game ends. This could be that one pick.
Let's see if they can find out who they're going to face check here. I don't know if that's really where you want to be as an AD carry right now. The rest of his team are thinking, we're not sure if we really want to back you up. So Nox stuck running the wrong way. It is going to be Hooper falling on down for his 7th of the game. And with 3 members dead for 30 seconds at least, now Baron looks a lot more attractive.
I mean, you just have to feel bad for Hooper, right? What can he do? He takes so much damage from an Orianna Q, has to flash away, and then he's playing against a Jarvan with ult. There's very little that he can actually achieve. And at this point, Ion is just going to have as much fun with this game as they like and close it out whenever they'd like. Doraemon might want to answer that solo queue tally.
He's looking to try and answer back and say, let's have another 1v1. It's not worked out well for you before, Thomasino. You want a split push? Not on my watch. So he goes in for him right now and forces up the hook shot, but he's going back in. In comes the teleport. They're looking to try and force this fight right now. They want to make it unfair. They want to get some shutdown goal. They want to try and get some way back in, but now it's a 2v2. Jovi's here, and if you know he's here, then you certainly got to fear because the damage comes out. They'll hunt for the second, and that they certainly will get.
Doraemon is just a pleasure to watch on this Cassante. They're perfectly outplaying that 2v2. And it's just a pure solo lane gap, right? I mean, it has been this whole series. And for Fury, we thought the solo lanes were their strong point, right? We looked at Thomasino, we look at Chirp, and we think that those guys are the players who are going to be carrying this franchise on their backs. And plain and simple, they've just been outplayed 2 games in a row.
Well, where to from here really becomes the case of Ion, really. They've looked at this one and said we've got a clear read on how we want to try and play this game, but Fury aren't going to be up. We're going to fight just yet. Out goes the Cullen, the campfire there for the extra range. The topic goes in for the polymorph, but the cleanse straight out of that one. Nebula's not saying no today. He wants double digits, and that he will find, Max. 10, 1 and 5. What a standout debut.
It's just so sad to see that your only form of engage you can actually land is a Lulu flashing forwards the polymorph for carry that's instantly cleansed away. It's just so hard for them to do anything as a Jarvan Orianna combo comes through. That's going to be 1 kill. Thomasino just manages to walk away, but he won't be able to walk away from this 2-0 Skimmy. What a commanding entrance to the LCO for
What a beautiful
Ion.
performance. What an absolutely monumental one for the new boys and for those old alike as they come into this one 30-6. An absolute stomp in both games 1 and 2. They had their read on how they wanted to try and execute the game with the champions as well. And just overall mechanically, you couldn't really fault them in all 3 lanes. They weathered the storm, they absorbed that pressure, put it right back towards their opposition and said, okay, what was your next go? Because it's not worked before, it's not working again. Hang on a minute, you're down 10k gold. Go next.
And it looked better from the start for Fury, right? There were a couple minutes there. There was even a whole sequence where they got kills in multiple lanes, but ultimately they make that one slip up. And it feels like once Ion gets ahead, once they get even the slightest bit of control on the game, they run with it. And that gives me so much hope and so much excitement to see what they're going to bring in weeks to come.
Maybe a dark horse to keep your eyes on here in Ion Global Esports and see if they can upset any of the other big dogs in the region. But as for now, we're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, we'll get ourselves ready for the second series of the night. It's a big one. You certainly do not want to miss this. It's Team Bliss up against the Dire.